the EU is one that we're going to be the most worried about, and it's not just because of US trade pressures by any means, it's Brexit.
Yes.
So Brexit being a huge cloud hanging over European growth this quarter. And of course, there's so many different scenarios, permutations that you can stress test, and we have been. But it seems like the way we see this shaping up so far is that, yes, Boris Johnson is pushing this to the brink in the final 2 weeks of October, October 31st being the Brexit deadline. And there are glimmers of a compromise around that one key sticking point around the Irish backstop. Just today, we were discussing how the DUP, the Unionist Party in the UK, may be warming up to this idea of a Northern Ireland only backstop with conditions, which the EU has already approved. So theoretically, you could see maybe some compromise around that. That could lead to an 11th hour deal that allows the UK to leave in a more orderly way. But there's the flip side, and maybe the more likely scenario of, while the no deal Brexit is a real possibility at this point, given Boris Johnson's threats thus far, our assessment is that the UK will be able to avert that. And it's most likely going to come in the form of a resignation by Boris Johnson, where he can still play martyr going into election and say, I am the one to deliver Brexit. It's Brussels' fault. It's Parliament's fault. Or a no confidence motion against him. But what's interesting about this is that it comes down to ego. Because when you look at the opposition forces that have to come together for a no confidence motion in very little time, that means Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn has to put his ego aside, get out of the way, agree to a neutral candidate, and then allow for an early election. It's so essentially where we have our Europe analyst, Adriana Bassoni, tracking this very closely, but we think a no deal Brexit will be averted.
But the risk is still high. That's the point.
The risk is still high. That is still going to have a very big impact, yes, on European economic conditions. But you know, as we get to a new election and an extension, that doesn't necessarily end the uncertainty.